Dear students, Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I am Manzur Ahmad Ganai, lecturer history boys higher secondary school Tral. Today our topic for 12th class students of our institution is how important were the gender differences in the early societies in ancient India. Dear students, in this question we have been asked about the gender differences. Gender differences means the differences between men and women, between males and females, whether there was equality between men and women in early societies or there was difference between men and women, whether men were considered superior to women or women were considered superior to men. So this is what we have been asking in this question, that is a question of gender differences. Let's answer this question. Dear students, in early societies there were gender differences in about which there are number of examples to suggest that men were given preference over men in early societies. For example, number one, preference of patrilineal was the first proof of gender difference in the early societies. Patrilineal, as we have discussed in the very first question of this unit about patrilineal, which means the tracing the origin of a person from father's side and not from mother's side, means giving preference to males over females. So the patrilineal system of a family in early societies is the first important proof that the males were given preference over females in early societies. Thus, this means that there were definitely gender differences in the early societies. Number one. Number two, considering the birth of a son a blessing and the birth of a daughter occurs in early societies is another proof of gender differences. As we have already talked about that in early societies, in early families, the parents wanted more sons and less daughters or no daughters. And wanting more sons and less daughters is in itself a proof that the males were considered superior to females, therefore talking about gender difference. Number three, according to Manu Smriti, which is the law book of ancient India, the father's property was equally divided among all sons, with no right to daughter of any property share of father. Means that, according to Manu Smriti, which is the ancient law book of India, according to this, if a father died, his property was to be equally shared among the sons, and the no share of property was to be given to the daughters. So daughters had to take no share of father's property, and the property was to be shared or distributed equally among the sons. So here as well, this point as well shows that there were gender differences. Sons were considered superior to daughters, so males were considered superior to females. Therefore, gender difference was here as well. Number four, a woman in ancient times was not allowed to hoard means collect, assemble, property, family property or precious things without the permission of her husband. Means that in ancient times, if a woman wanted to collect some property, put some property for her own self, she could not do that if her husband did not give the permission. She could collect property, she could hoard wealth only when her husband gave her the permission. In other words, a husband could amass huge wealth, he could hoard great wealth, he could become rich, he could do anything with his property, but for this he had not to take permission from his wife. So wife had to take permission from her husband for everything, and husband had to take permission for nothing from his wife. This also speaks that husband was given preference over the wife, which shows that there were gender differences. Number five, women in early societies had rights only over the gifts that they received on marriage times, known as Satridhan. So, in early societies, when a woman was getting married, at the time of marriage, she used to get various gifts, and these gifts were known as Satridhan. and this was the only property which a woman was getting. Apart from this, she had no share in the property of her father. She had no share in the property of her husband. She had no share in any other kind of property or any other kind of thing. The only property she had was that of Satridan, that is the gift she used to get at the time of marriage. And all other property belonged to husband. So this also speaks here that there was difference on the base of gender. Thank you.